I keep trying to retake this video because my chickens will not stop, so I'm sorry you're going to hear them going crazy in the background. I don't know what they're doing. I'm going to show you guys how I preserve my arugula because I grew so much of it, and it's one of those things I tell everyone to grow because they're so loud. Because it's so easy, it grows so well, and it's also super easy to harvest the seeds to save them, and they're plentiful, let me tell you that. Comes up very easy, and the seeds, like look at all these here, super easy to harvest and to save. And I'll show you guys in another video how I save those seeds. So I have so much arugula, and it's one of those things that either you love it or you don't really like it. It's got a bitter kind of tangy flavor. I'll go over here and I'll show you my other batch of it I have growing. I don't know why I planted in two separate spots. I don't even remember, but here's my other batch, and this one's so big and beautiful. And so I'm like, I have so much arugula. I can give it away. I can eat it fresh as much as I want. But how can I save it through the winter? What can I do with greens? And so I came across two awesome ways to preserve it. One is preserving it as a pesto, and then I freeze it, and it's absolutely delicious. And another way, which I'm going to show you today, is drying it out and saving it as a powder, which you can add to soups and to other foods, or you can just use it as a green powder and add it to smoothies. So I'm going to show you guys how I harvest this and how I dry it and then blend it and turn it into a powder. Buck, buck, buck. Brownie. Brownie, buck, buck. Brownie, brownie. So I'm going to take the arugula and I'm going to take off all the leaves. The stems can be dehydrated too, even the root, all of it can be eaten. But I'm just going to do the leaves because it takes a lot longer to do the stems and it just takes up lots of space. So I'll either throw those to the chickens or just throw them back into my compost to add nutrients back into the soil. I'm literally hanging my camera from the knobs on my cabinets right now. This is what happens when you don't have professional equipment. So I threw all my leaves of my arugula into my sink, and I'm gonna rinse them as best that I can. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm lazy with rinsing them. It's just like when you have such large batches, you just want to do it quick. Another way to do this though is to fill up your sink. Fill it up with water and then put all your greens in it. And that way you can swish them around, and I think it gives a better clean than this, but my sink is a little bit yucky right now and I just don't have the time to clean it, so I'm doing the best that I can. So you might ask, why do you want to preserve arugula? Why would you want to preserve arugula powder? Is it kind of nasty? Is it strong tasting? I'm taking a video. I'm gonna keep that in there. Nasty dog. My children are weird. Arugula is extremely good for you. Super, super healthy. I think the more bitter a green, at least from what I've learned, is it's far more full of nutrients and benefits. So it's great for you. Super good for you. I know it's high in vitamin C. I've learned that. I can't remember what else it was high in, but it's high in other stuff too. So you want to preserve it. Just do it, just do it. If you can't eat it like this, make the powder out of it. But the pesto video, I'm going to show you how to make that pesto in another video. And it's really good. The bitterness is still there if you like that. Like, I love the taste of bitter arugula and rapini. If you've ever had rapini, I love rapini. So you have to enjoy those kind of flavors. But the way that you make, oh yay, thank you. the way that you make the pesto is it really takes, oh, it doesn't take the bitterness out, but it the other ingredients really complement it, so it's not as bitter as you would expect it to be. So definitely check out that other video once I post that. And the powder, I haven't actually tried the powder in anything yet, so I'm kind of nervous to try it. We'll see what it's like. But yeah, for now, let's get washing these leaves, and I'll show you how I put it in my dehydrator, because I only have a 4-tray dehydrator. I use the Excalibur dehydrator, and it's my absolute favorite dehydrator. I've been using it for years, but because it's 4-tray, a 4-tray when I don't have a lot of space. So what I do is I actually pile all my arugula on one tray, and I put the one tray at the bottom. And I tested this last night because I wasn't sure how was the airflow going to be. Was it going to all dry up? And it all dried up beautifully, no problem. So I just loaded on pile up so it fills the entire dehydrator on this one tray. So I'll show you guys how I do that. So I stuffed my dehydrator. Now, if you have a dehydrator and this is what you're going to use, you can use an oven too. You have to put it on low and keep the door open a little bit. I've never used the oven, so check out another video if you want to do it in your oven instead. But I stuff it in my dehydrator. I also keep an ear out for if I turn the fan on, if I turn my dehydrator on, if I hear any rattling in the back, then I know that there are some leaves sticking out and hitting the back of the fan there, so I gotta be careful with that. Make sure you keep an ear out. But yeah, I stuffed it. I'm using the one tray to make sure though that there's an airflow coming through the bottom too. You don't want it directly on the bottom. And last night I had the heat on high, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it on high. I'm going to lower it before bed because it was super dry. So I think I'm safe to lower it a little bit. So the temperature too though, if you're trying to keep this raw and you want to keep all the nutrients intact, you want to keep it at 118 degrees Fahrenheit if you want to keep this raw. But when you set it to 118, you can find other videos too where people have done, you know, many tests of this, but if, let's say you set it to 118, you want to keep the temperature at 118 or less to keep all the enzymes and the nutrients intact, so you're not killing and cooking the food, which is why a lot of people use dehydrators. But if you have the temperature higher, it's not necessarily going to actually change the food temperature to that high heat. The high heat will be coming off of the back and in the machine, but the food temperature itself, if you test the food temperature, will actually be much lower. So you don't have to worry if you have it a little bit higher and you're worried about what the temperature of the food's going to be. So that's just a little dehydrating fact. So I'm going to keep it on high for maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours or so, and I might try and lower it before the end of the night, and then I'm going to have it run all night until the morning. And then I'm going to show you guys, once it's dry, how I turn it into my powder to preserve. And there's a special little trick that I add as well to my powder to keep it preserved longer and to make sure there's no moisture getting in. That was the funniest thing. So the arugula is now as dry as a bone, and I'm going to take all of it and put it into my blender so I can blend it up into a fine powder. This is my absolute favorite color of green. You can blend this up as fine as you want. I think the more fine it is, the better if you're going to be adding it to smoothies or into soups. And I spelled arugula wrong, just so you know. Don't spell it like that if you write on the lid. And my little trick to keeping this fresh for longer is incorporating at the bottom of it a silica gel packet that's food grade, and you can actually reuse these as well, so it will absorb any extra moisture in there and help preserve it longer for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.